It's hard to believe WNBA refs are just incompetent. They seem to be acting with malice or reckless indifference by refusing to call closeout fouls for Caitlin Clark. Does the league want her to suffer a season-ending injury? Ladies and gentlemen, what did we just witness? The Indiana Fever took on the Atlanta Dream last night, and it wasn't just Caitlin Clark being double-teamed like she stole something. No, the real enemy was in the stripes. The referees were so bad, Caitlin's own boyfriend, Conor McCaffery, had to jump on Twitter and call them out, and when your man's tweeting mid-game, you know it's bad. Let's set the stage. It's Tuesday night, May 20th, 2025. The Indiana Fever, led by rookie phenom Caitlin Clark, are hosting the Atlanta Dream. Clark's putting up solid numbers despite relentless pressure: 27 points, 11 assists, and 5 rebounds. She made WNBA history by becoming the first player to start the season with back-to-back games recording 20-plus points and 10-plus assists. But those stats don't tell the full story. The real headline? The officiating was so atrocious, the fans, the commentators, and even the players were about ready to riot. It was genuinely one of the worst officiated halves we've seen all season. Even before the game reached the second quarter, people were lighting up Twitter. And that includes Caitlin's boyfriend, Conor McCaffery, who tweeted, "Good to see the W refs in mid-season form. These refs were garbage."
Guarded by Caldwell, knocked away, good hands there by Coffey. Coffey actually hit the deck and knocked Bonner down. That was off of Atlanta last, wasn't it?
Bonner, a chop block right here. That's a dangerous play.
No question.
Another tweet. "This is a dangerous foul against DeWanna Bonner. She's lucky she escaped. With no injury, it seems Atlanta is going to play this game very physical." One fan criticized, "I saw Clark's defender put her feet too many times under her. That's dangerous. Is this team dirty?" Let's talk about these referees, not just because they were bad, but because they were historically bad. You could have pulled 3 fans out of the stands, slapped whistles around their necks, and gotten better results. It wasn't just blown calls. It was a masterclass in how not to officiate a professional basketball game. Missed travels, phantom fouls, and calls so late they felt like rewinds from a VHS tape. There were sequences where the ref was staring right at the contact, hand on the arm, shoulder check, elbow to the ribs, and swallowed the whistle like it was sponsored by silence. You'd think Caitlin Clark committed a crime the way they let defenders maul her. And the blatant lack of baseline awareness. Multiple out-of-bounds plays where even the cameraman had a better angle than the officials. It was like they'd pre-decided to keep their flags holstered unless someone committed a felony. The worst part? There was zero accountability, no clarification, no explanation. Just an arrogant jog back up the court while players and coaches pleaded for common sense. It wasn't just embarrassing, it was dangerous, unprofessional, and a slap in the face to the athletes and fans who expect basic competence. Now, some insight about the calls, or more like the non-calls. Let's kick things off with a defensive play that should have made the highlight reel, but instead became the first red flag of the night. Midway through the first quarter, Fever guard Lexi Hull made what can only be described as a textbook help side block on Natasha Howard. The sequence unfolded as Howard drove into the paint looking to finish at the rim. Hull rotated perfectly, timed her jump with precision, and swatted the ball cleanly out of Howard's hands. Everyone watching the broadcast saw it. The commentators paused. The replay showed nothing but ball. No body contact. No hand on the arm. Just a clean, all-ball swat. But the whistle blew, and to the disbelief of fans and Fever players alike, it was called a defensive foul on Hull. Even the Dream players looked confused. This wasn't a bang-bang play. This wasn't a could-go-either-way moment. It was clear, controlled defense, and it set the tone for what would become a long night of strange officiating. What made it worse? This play killed Indiana's momentum. Instead of a potential fast break the other way, Atlanta went to the line and scored easy points. These calls don't just affect the scoreboard, they crush the rhythm and confidence of a young team trying to find its footing. Next up, A play so reckless, it had DeWanna Bonner seeing red, and rightfully so. During a scramble for a loose ball, Atlanta's Nia Coffey dove at full speed through Bonner's knees in an attempt to regain possession. That's right, through her knees, not around her, not sliding beside her. Coffey literally launched herself across the floor and crashed into Bonner's legs. That kind of contact is dangerous. Not hard, not questionable, dangerous. Knee injuries end careers in the WNBA. And Bonner's lucky she walked away from that play without damage. What did the referees do? Absolutely nothing. Not only was there no foul called on Coffey, but, brace yourself, possession was awarded to Atlanta. The play was reviewed. The video showed Coffey never touched the ball until after she bulldozed Bonner. But somehow the officials ruled that Bonner was not involved in the play, despite being taken down like a bowling pin, and the ball stayed with the Dream. Bonner stormed over to the officials and let them have it. This was not your average complaint. She was furious, and rightly so. This wasn't just a blown call. It was a failure to protect player safety. In any professional league, that's unacceptable. This one was personal for Caitlin Clark. In the second quarter, Clark came off a screen at the top of the key and pulled up for a three-pointer. Ryan Howard was late on the contest and clearly landed in Clark's landing zone, a space protected by the league for obvious reasons. Caitlin's ankle twisted awkwardly on the way down. She still hit the shot, and the refs initially signaled a standard shooting foul, 3 free throws. But here's the kicker. That's a flagrant foul. Under the WNBA rulebook, any defender that invades a shooter's landing space is putting that player at risk of injury, and it's supposed to result in a flagrant one. What did the refs call? Just contact on the arm. No flagrant, no extra. Free throws, no review. Even Clark looked stunned. You could see her mouth. You're not going to look at that, as she limped back to the free throw line. Now here's where it gets extra absurd. If a coach challenges an out-of-bounds play, the refs can't upgrade to a flagrant on review unless it was called as a foul in the first place. So because the original call was just contact, they couldn't reassess for a flagrant, even if the replay showed a textbook flagrant violation. How does that make sense? It doesn't. But that's how this one slipped through the cracks. And finally, let's talk about the recurring theme of the night, moving screens. Caitlin Clark faced full court pressure from the opening tip. Atlanta defenders, especially Ryan Howard, were face guarding her for 94 feet. And to be clear, that's fine. It's physical defense. It's part of the game. But when your defender is glued to you like a second jersey, the offense has to set screens to get you open. That's what the Fever tried to do. Simple drag screens, side picks, pin downs, basic sets. And time after time, the referees blew the whistle, not on the defense for contact, but on Indiana's screeners. What's happening here is Atlanta's defenders were deliberately running into screens without trying to go around them, essentially drawing fouls like soccer players flopping on contact. The result? Multiple moving screen violations on Indiana, one on Aaliyah Boston, one on Lexi Hull, one on Nalissa Smith, all while Caitlin Clark is being grabbed, pulled, and bumped off the ball like she's in a UFC octagon, and somehow, not a single foul called on Atlanta for that full-court defensive pressure. Not even a warning. The issue here isn't just that the refs missed some calls, it's that they were inconsistent. If you're going to allow physical defense on one end, you have to allow it on the other. And if you're calling every screen illegal while ignoring off-ball contact, the offensive players are being punished for simply trying to play the game. Let's not forget, Atlanta shot 11 free throws in the first quarter alone. That's not an exaggeration. 11. The Fever? Just a couple. And most of them didn't come until much later in the game. That kind of disparity raises eyebrows. The Dream weren't attacking the basket significantly more than Indiana. In fact, both teams were mostly settling for perimeter shots. So, how did one team get 11 trips to the line and the other barely get a whistle? It's not just bad officiating, it's a game-shaping imbalance. Apparently the new rule is, if you touch Caitlin Clark on defense, it's fine. If you breathe near a Fever player on offense, foul. Following the narrow 91-90 loss to the Atlanta Dream, Indiana Fever star Caitlin. Clark didn't hold back in expressing her dissatisfaction with the referee's performance. In the post-game press conference, Clark highlighted the challenges faced due to questionable calls, stating, "I mean, to me, challenges cannot take that long. It ruins the flow of the game," Clark said. "I get it. It's early in the year, the refs want to make the right call. We can't sit there for 2.5–3 minutes on an obvious hit out of bounds and still not know the call." Clark emphasized that the need to use both challenges early in the game disrupted the team's rhythm and limited their options for contesting calls. Later in the match, head coach Stephanie White shared Clark's sentiments regarding the officiating. She was compelled to use both of her challenges in the first half on out-of-bounds calls, both of which were overturned upon review. White expressed frustration over the necessity to expend challenges on what she believed should have been straightforward calls. "We had to use both of our challenges early on calls that were pretty clear. It's frustrating because it limits our ability to challenge more critical calls later in the game. The early use of challenges left the team vulnerable to unreviewable calls in the crucial moments of the game." Adding to the controversy, Caitlin Clark's boyfriend, Conor McCaffery, took to social media during the game to voice his displeasure with the officiating. The tweet quickly gained traction, reflecting the widespread frustration among fans and observers regarding the game's officiating. The officiating drew criticism from fans and media alike. On social media platforms and forums, many expressed their disbelief at the referee's decisions. One fan commented, "The refs might as well be blindfolded for as horrific as they are." Such sentiments were echoed across various platforms, highlighting the consensus that the officiating significantly impacted the game's outcome. Conor McCaffery calling out the refs might have been funny, but also necessary. When your boyfriend's going viral mid-game, it's not a great sign for officiating integrity. So what do you think? Were the refs just having a bad night, or are we seeing something more systemic? Let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button if you were yelling at your TV, and don't forget to subscribe. We're breaking down every Caitlin Clark game, every controversy, and every insane W moment this season. Subscribe, like, turn on notifications. See y'all in the next one, and hopefully the next refs bring their glasses.